Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2791, 2791. Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth, somewhere in the land of Ameritopica. Here's something that might not be a important thing to you, but if you use Google Podcasts, it's not going to last much longer. It's what I was told. I got a special farewell.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Farewell to Google Podcasts. It wasn't an April Fool's Day joke. It is
Mike's
apparently
Daily
moving to
Podcast.
the app called YouTube Music. Google is merging podcasts with YouTube Music. As you know, Google owns. So they're trying to get you to go to YouTube to listen to podcasts and watch podcasts. Because a lot of podcasts, well, I bite my own tongue when I say that. To me, a podcast is only a podcast if it has an RSS feed and it's audio. But nowadays, people are calling, and they have for a while called, but now more so than ever, they call anything with a video and a person talking at you a podcast, even if it's video. But Google has decided to shut down its Google Podcasts app and instead integrate podcasts into the YouTube Music. The move is part of a strategy to simplify the podcast listening experience by combining it with music streaming, creating a one-stop audio destination on YouTube Music. But the thing is, YouTube Music also shows videos, so you can actually watch YouTube Music. It's very confusing. And it's bad, too, when you're trying to listen to something in the car and you go, oh, it's a video, but you're driving the car and you're looking at the video. That's not good. We have, for years, even like 10 years ago, imagine all the distractions we had in a car. Back when there was just the radio as a distraction in the car. Now there's phones. The phones have video.
Here's today's podcast picture.
And the podcast picture, which you can find at mikesdailypodcast.com. And it also might be on YouTube Music, as the podcast picture is of the beautiful Mount Diablo that was looking ever so nice this past weekend with the big clouds looming over it as I was looking at it from Pleasanton. See that cool picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. All my podcasts, all 2,791 have had a podcast picture with it. So Google believes this change will improve podcast discovery and encourage more community interaction. And the late great Basil the Boxer, who has been on every single Mike's Daily Podcast just about, he likes community interaction. He interacted with me. I think that bark came from when he was barking at a bat flying over us in Podcastro Valley. But it encourages more community interaction and make switching between audio podcasts and video content easier, an area where Spotify they're lagging behind a little bit, and they're trying to make strides with 23% of weekly podcast users in the US preferring YouTube over Google Podcasts. 23% were using YouTube. 4% were using Google Podcasts, the Google Podcast app. So they're getting rid of it. They're saying goodbye to that. So that is the latest news there with podcasts that you listen to, apparently, because you're listening to one right now. Thank you. And I produce another How dare you, sir? Yes, I'm bald because I podcast. And because I produce the podcast for Rob Black. He is heard Monday through Friday on AM 1220 KDOW in the 6 o'clock and the 8 o'clock hours, and also is doing the Cron television Monday through Thursday. And when you watch him on Cron, you see he's in his little office in his house. He's remote working. Well, I got this from him. Remote workers are earning 30% more switching back to in-office jobs. Getting people back to the office comes with a steep price tag. Salaries for fully in-office roles are climbing to an average $82,000 for in-person roles, a nearly 40% jump from what these roles paid in 2023, a year ago. Wages for remote and hybrid jobs. The hybrid jobs and the remote jobs, danger. The wages for them are paying about $60,000 on average. Remote jobs now pay $75,327. Those who switched from a remote job to an in-office job last year received a almost 30% pay bump. Interest in remote work remains strong even as fewer employers offer it. And it is so ridiculous to hear the people that want to keep remote work going, to hear them complain. I've heard them on some news shows just go, well, there's like diseases out in the real world. I don't want to go back to work and be in the office. You can just hear the anxiety in their voice. They're just so riddled with fear of walking in an office setting. I don't know. I mean, here's what I like about being in the office is you don't have to get on a Zoom call to talk to somebody. They're right there in the office and you can talk and chat and they can see your hands and your hands expressions and, you got to make an effort. You got to take a bath. You got to get out there and take a bath and clean yourself and actually brush your teeth and be out there and wear pants. Hey, good looking.
We'll be back to pick you up later.
Ask Mr. Microphone. Hey, it takes a little bit of work to go to work. People forgot that. Interest in remote work remains strong. Fewer employers are offering it, despite making up less than 10% of all job postings in the U.S. Remote jobs receive nearly half of all the applications. If employers can't compete on flexibility, they're having to compete more aggressively on pay. Several studies have shown that people are willing to take a pay cut in order to work remotely. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth here in the land of Ameritopica, with all the topicas we're covering, including this one about that horrible disaster in Baltimore with the bridge. It will be the largest ever marine insurance payout. Marine insurance. The collapse of a major Baltimore bridge and its knock-on effects could result in the biggest ever marine insurance payoff.
Oh, wait. I'm broke.
Payout.
Anyway.
Here at Café Anyway. This, according to insurance giant Lloyd's of London, it's going to be a very complex claim to unravel. There will be claims for the ship, the cargo, the bridge, but it is second-order impacts that would become substantial. A lot of business is going to be interrupted by ships that are both trapped inside the port and ships that were trying to gain access to the port. Oh, and all these conspiracy theories that were flying around this thing that ship was being manipulated or remote controlled to smash into that bridge, or there was something nefarious going on. No, it's all been disproven. All but even the conspiracy theorists are going, shh, you're making us look bad coming up with conspiracy theories about this. This has happened before. This is no new thing, unfortunately. A lot of business is going to be interrupted by ships that are trapped inside the port and those trying to get access to the port.
The Haley moment of the week.
Oh, there's a moment. We're pausing for everyone named Haley. Okay. Insurance losses. The insured losses could total between $2 billion and $4 billion, depending on the length of time that the port is blocked. That would surpass the more than $500 million, which was paid out from the capsizing of the Costa Concordia cruise ship. That was 10 years ago, actually 12 years ago. 32 people died in that disaster. Various insurance policies are likely to be triggered across marine liability and hull, property, cargo, and business interruption. And German auto manufacturer BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen are most exposed. It's a trap. as European imports accounted for 40% to 50% of U.S. sales in recent year. And I heard that there is some of the Volkswagen is offering Mercedes use of their facility that they have because they're more accessible now because of the bridge disaster, that they're trying to make a workaround for them. Maersk will have had liability on this charter, so we will see. In the world of AI, let's see, who has AI? You've got, of course, the first ones to jump out with it, ChatGPT, Microsoft, and Bing. So, like whenever you're trying to do a search in Bing, it immediately tries to get you to do Copilot, which is their AI. And then you have Google, which had Bard, which they went nowhere with that. So they renamed it Gemini, and they're having problems with that. What's the thing that X has? Groot or Grout or
Mike
Clout or
awesome.
Thank you, Rob. Korg. I forget. Then there's Meta's got their thing, which I always forget. Amazon has upped its investment in AI. Amazon is pouring another $2.75 billion. That on top of the $1.25 billion already invested into their AI called Anthropic, the maker of ChatGPT competitor Claude.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do
These
that.
names are coming up. Claude. Why don't they just call it Maud or B. Arthur or Golden Girls? Give it a cool name. Oh no, gas prices are rising faster than usual this year. Prices at the pump typically rise in the first half of the year as more Americans get back on the road and refineries transition to the less polluting summer blends. I love that, the summer blend. Would you like to try our new coffee? It's called the Summer Blend. Well, the costs in 2024 have ramped up faster than normal, thanks largely to severe weather at home. No, severe weather at home. Oh yeah.
Why the hell did I yelp that?
It's a question I ask. Because I'm like, why did I give Yelp all that free work that I did for free for them reviewing something when I can just review the restaurant myself? Like the nice Chinese restaurant that we checked out in Castro Valley that's new, that may or may not have given us food poisoning. I don't know. But geopolitical disruptions abroad have also contributed to the gas prices going up, and that's not looking good for Biden. Unleaded gasoline ran $3.54 a gallon on average across the U.S., up 3% from a year ago and 14% higher than at the start of this year. Locally, you're getting it for about $5 at least. If you can find it a little bit less, that's good for you. But you're going to wait in line. Oh yeah, you heard about Sam Bankman-Fried and his hair? His big curly hair. He was sentenced with his role in the collapse of FTX. Government wants him behind bars for 50 years, while his lawyers say 6 would be enough. Betting on March Madness, don't forget to report winnings over $600 to the IRS. The Internal Revenue Service considers all money made from gambling to be taxable income. That means that anywhere between 10% and 30% of the winnings will be owed as taxes. Gambling websites typically send you a W-2G form if you win more than $600. A copy of this form is sent to the IRS too.
What is the matter with you?
And I'm in my 50s. Did you know that retirement is around the corner for me? By the time you reach your 50s, you should have around 6 times your salary saved for retirement. Well, I make pittance. I make nothing. So yeah, I've already got 6 times that. That's sad, but that's true. 6 times of pittance is pretty easy to get. If you earn around $100,000 annually, you'd ideally have saved $600,000 for retirement by the time you reach your 50s. 600,000 more than $500,000? You gotta be crazy. And a lot of thank you, Chewy. A lot of that is, hey, because when you're retired, you don't want to work at all, right? But keep in mind, here in Podcastro Valley, for some strange reason, a lot of people make it to 100 years old. Even though we're in California, high taxes, Bay Area, where there's a lot of traffic. But I think it is, and a lot of when they ask them, and I've read a lot of these articles, so-and-so made it to 100. What's your secret for longevity? And they say, well, genes and also community. Having a sense of community, being with people every day, and not being a hermit is what I have heard. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out for all of us in the end. But that's what I hear over and over again.
Yeah, how's the mic, Mike?
Okay. Outside of Café Anyway. Oh, and Jamie Foxx has liked a post that I did on Twitter. All I did was, and I keep calling it Twitter. I don't call it the other thing. I tweeted a wonderful, just basically the podcast, and he liked it. Or I think he liked it. It said Jamie Foxx, and then there's an M with a circle. M inside of a circle. So I don't know if that's verified or what that means or if it's a fake. But anyway, that guy, whoever that Jamie Foxx was, likes the podcast. Thank you, Muttley.
Hi there, Mike. How are you?
Hey, we had Muttley in the last podcast, that little that promotional spot commercial that I did for a old-timey radio show that I did back in the early 90s. I was quite proud of that in our cassette cubbyhole section of Let's Go Back with Matthews. But look who's outside of Café Anyway. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop surveyor. I got rid of all my Easter snow globes. Mike Matthews. Yes, can you have an Easter snow globe? It's springtime, the snow melts. Mike Matthews, I can do whatever I want. I'm a creative, Mike Matthews. You're a creative? I'm a creative, Mike Matthews. I create content. And it's really awesome. It is. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, I hope you didn't run into any...
What was that all about?
Rabid Republican rabbits yesterday, Mike Matthews. Mm-mm. Well, it was Easter, so... Isn't that what kind of rabbits are around? Republican rabbits? In the Easter time? That's a question that maybe you can answer by calling this number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
And with more ways to make me your contact and to contact me, here are the ways to do that. Here's Ariel.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!